Hi, this is Stephen Brower, and welcome to CISY217 Operating Systems for the Fall 2016 semester. This video is going to be sort of an overview of the LMS, the Learning Management System that we're going to be using. Other videos will be on content, and there will be another video which will have the submission of the items for the first homework and the first lab. First, just in terms of information about the course, if you want to get the syllabus and the schedule and WebStudy happens to be down, from within Lion's Den, if you go into the course that we have, the course page that we have, there are links over on the right-hand side when you first go in for the syllabus and for the schedule. The syllabus has, and I'll go over this a little more detail in a moment, but the syllabus has policy information and the schedule has the timing of the topics. But primarily you're going to be using WebStudy to access the information. I'm just pointing out that if WebStudy is down, that's where you can access that information. And what you might want to do is download those files locally. And one thing I suggest also is printing the class schedule and checking off items as you work on them. But from within WebStudy itself, and I'm going to log into WebStudy, you should have received an email when you registered for the class. The email would have had your ID and password. The password is different than your Lion's Den or your network password. And if you registered 3 months ago, you may have to dig 3 months back into your inbox in order to find it. Now, since I'm a faculty member, my view of WebStudy may look a little bit different than yours, but somewhere you should have, under Fall 2016, our course. Now, hopefully by the time you're seeing it, there's not an X here because hopefully the course will be open by then. Majority of the time you'll spend in this course will be in the timeline. So let me go straight to the timeline. And again, I'm viewing this right now as an instructor, not as a student, so things are a little bit different, like you don't have the ability to turn off the session. So these things over here you won't see. But the timeline, well, what the timeline is meant to be is a chronological listing of the semester, and so it will have now I'm using this week notation, and I also list the dates there as well, but the idea is we'll progress through the material in terms of the timeline. In general, I'm just going to look ahead to beyond where we are. If I look ahead to week 2, what we'll see is there's information about the chapter that we're going to be covering that week. In this case, there is a link to a video for the chapter for that week. There also are slides for the chapter for that week. Now, if we were in the classroom, these would be the slides that I would hand out in class. So these are available as a PDF, and I put them in this larger format at 2 per page, so it's easier to see when you're on the screen. So this would be what I call sort of a content session. This other session here would be the assignments they're going to be due. Now this is jumping ahead a week, so it's not for this first week. This will be for week 2, and we'll see that for week 2, there's 3 assignments. There's a discussion forum, an intro, homework, and a lab 1. Now, again, there'll be a later video. This isn't the right link. I have to update it. There's going to be a later video that'll be here that will go through the exact steps of how to submit the homework in the lab. And so the details of that will be in there. But just in general, for a number of the weeks, that there will be, usually 2 per week, meaning that there'll be one that has the content with description and videos, and the other one that has the assignments that are for that week. And it's going to vary week to week how many assignments there are. And the schedule that was also available here from the timeline. So the schedule, which I will open here, the class schedule here, this is the order of the topics that we're going to be doing. And so it does have the weeks of the semester. That's 14 weeks plus the final. It has the date ranges, which I'll make a comment on in a second. And then it has the chapter topics that we'll be covering. And then it lists what's going to be due with the due date and then the items that are due. So the week numbers and the dates correspond to the week numbers and the dates that are here on the timeline. The syllabus, there also is a link to the syllabus here, and that has policy information. So one, this is our book that we have for the course, but in terms of policy information, then it would be things like what things are worth in terms of assignments, like homework 17% of the grade, has a little information about each of these, and then other policies, things like, don't cheat and submit things on time, and then an exception to the late policy, the sort of a life happens, and then some other policies that they ask us to put into our syllabi. Okay, so from the timeline is where you'll be accessing the information. A strong suggestion is that if you do print, well, I occasionally like to use a little bit of paper, but if you do print the schedule, then what you can do is as you submit items, you can check them off as being completed. And this way it'll just be, if you use that for the semester, it'll just be your guide to know that you've done the work. Now, the way I submit or have set up this course is I'm using Mondays as being the days when things are due. So the due dates, all the due dates, which is in this column right here, all of the due dates, which would correspond to the due dates here, these are all Mondays. And so you can almost think of this, imagine if this course met once a week in the classroom. And if it met once in the week in the classroom, imagine it met Monday night. The thing that you can do on your own, though, is that leading up to when things are due is you can do things ahead of time. So if you're free more on weekends and Saturdays and Sundays when you want to do the work, you would work the Saturdays and Sundays prior to that Monday. Let's just say for your work schedule that you have Wednesdays and Thursdays as the time that you are most free. Well, then you'll be working on those Wednesdays and Fridays for the work that's due the following Monday. But I try to have, my due dates are Mondays. The only one exception is this first week, since Monday is Labor Day, the 5th. Then this is Tuesday, the 6th, but everything else is a Monday. And so this way you can gauge your time throughout the week about when to work. But I do have, in terms of the dates, it's just being 1 day a week, and it's Monday nights. The other reason why I do things Monday night as opposed to Sunday night is if you have a technical issue, and I had it a Sunday night, there's no one around to kind of help with the technical issue. But if I make it Monday night, now, of course, if you're doing it 11 at night, no one's around. But the thing is, if there are issues on Monday, it's easier to get someone to help in terms of any technical issues that may happen. Okay, and I'm looking at my script here, just double checking. So I mentioned how you get the syllabus, both from within Lion's Den, how you can get the syllabus, and from within WebStudy, it's on top of the timeline. I mentioned the type of sessions that will be throughout the semester, that we have these content sessions, and we have the items due sessions. I did mention that Monday night is when things would be due. A different video will go through the specifics of how to submit homework and how to submit the assignments. Well, I think that's enough for an overview. So specifically for this week, though, for this week meaning if you just began the course on August 31st, your first assignment is going to be due on September 6th, and the first thing that's going to be due September 6th is you're going to go into the introductory forum and introduce yourself to the class. And so that is really the only thing that's going to be due this first sort of abbreviated week from 8/31 to 9/6. And part of that only being the thing due this week is also because we have Labor Day on the 5th. Okay, well, so welcome to operating systems, and I'll see you all online.